loved giving kindness away, so I gave and gave and gave. Oh, you didn't bring your eraser today? Here, just take mine. You can keep it. I got plenty. You don't know how to solve this math question. Don't worry, I got you. Just give me a second while I prepare a mini lecture and pick out practice problems from the same skill set for you to review. Oh, you need a kidney for your second cousin's surgery? Here, just take mine. I got two. Thankfully, the last scenario did not actually happen, but you get the point. I was just this giving tree. To me, the act of giving was like a drug. I simply couldn't resist it, and why would I? It lifted my mood up, made me feel like a better person, and awarded me with praises. The word no simply didn't exist in my vocabulary. I was addicted to pleasing people, drunk in its comfort and of its positive consequences. Of smiles, of thank yous, of, you're so nice, Shinhye. However, as time passed on, I noticed something strange happening in terms of people's behaviors towards me. I noticed that the girl who I thought to be my dear friend only seemed to smile so brightly when I was doing her a favor. My partner, who broke my pen, didn't care to apologize, seeing that I let her go the last time she had made that mistake. This girl that I was trading stationery goods with lied and gave me the knockoff version of what she promised in return for the Rirakuma notepads that I had so carefully packaged in a little box with a custom note and stickers, giddily hoping that she'd enjoy it. What was happening, I thought? How could kindness trigger actions opposite of kindness? How could someone gain such joy, such happiness from something and decide to make that something, or in this case, someone, miserable in return? How could people exploit other people's emotions? It was a phenomenon far too incomprehensible and confusing for a mere fourth grader to understand, especially one who had been raised in a family that would always reciprocate her kindness. You see, in my family, my father was my #1 kindness booster. He would always be saying these super cheesy but sweet things like 아이고 장하다 우리 딸, or 누가 이렇게 예쁘고 똑똑할까, which would roughly translate into who is better than my daughter and look how pretty and smart you are. I promise I didn't mean to indirectly compliment myself there. As she showed her love through me, less through words and more through emotions. Through the way that she would cover me up with a blanket when she saw that I had fallen asleep without one, or patiently brushed my unruly hair in the mornings, or made me my favorite dish whenever she saw that I was having a bad day. That being the world that I knew for most of my childhood, I simply expected everyone else to act like the two humans I knew best. Spoiler alert, that wasn't quite the case. I remember a particular incident with a friend of mine back in 5th grade. It was in San Diego Hills Elementary School, and that friend, a couple of my other friends, and I were out on the playground playing. For some weird reason, she was giving nicknames to each person in our friend group. Things like, oh, you're the shy one, you're the tall one, and you're the musical one. You know, normal things like that. And soon enough, it was my turn. I lifted my eyebrows up in anticipation, wondering what she would say. I had some guesses. Maybe it was the artistic one. Not to brag or anything, but I could draw some pretty fire eyeballs on the corner of my worksheets. Or maybe it was the athletic one. After all, I did to some highs in my elementary school career with the jogathon and handball competitions. I had my eyes lit up, barely able to contain excitement, and she seemed to reciprocate that energy with this goofy little smile before saying, and you're the fat one, before running off laughing. I remember I stood there, numb with shock until this red rush of embarrassment and anger came over me. I ran to the bathroom, and the moment I closed the stall, I collapsed and started crying. I cried not just because I hated that girl, but because I hated myself. I hated myself for not being able to fight back, for not being able to say anything, for tolerating the behavior of so many who took comfort in taking advantage of me because I had let them do so. I wondered if I was meaner, if I had a worse reputation, would something like this happen to me still? If I was mean like that girl who told me I was fat, would I still have to go through this? I was so weak. Kindness was my biggest weakness. It was this stupid, stupid thing. After realizing that kindness was the source of my pain, the reason for my vulnerability, I pushed it away from me. Every time someone told me I was kind, I deflected it. I went from responding joyfully, "Thank you so much," to disagreeing uncomfortably. "No, I'm really not, you just don't know me that well." I tried to invalidate their statement, thinking that if I could just convince them that I wasn't the type of person they thought I was, then they wouldn't hurt me. With every word, every action, I silently pleaded out, "Please, don't take advantage of me. Please." More than anything, it really hurts. It really does, so just stay away. I resented the world for quite some bit, if I'm going to be honest, but there was one confrontation that helped me realize something important. I think our friendship is unhealthy, and it will be best for the both of us if we stop being friends. It is what I told my toxic friend of 4 years. And as I'm sure many of you guys know, ending ties with a long-term relationship or friendship, especially a toxic one, is brutal. But I would never regret that decision, as that was the first time in my life that I had intentionally done something for my own good, fully knowing that it was making someone else uncomfortable. For the first time in my life, I have prioritized kindness to myself over kindness to others. And from that point on, like a kid learning how to spell, I very, very slowly but quite surely learned what exactly it meant to be kind to yourself. I started calling people out when they crossed the line, stopped smiling at everything just to make the atmosphere happy, and finally learned how to say those terrifying words, "No." Now, I'm not saying that life is perfect now and I've completely moved on. I still stumble. I still find myself refraining from taking action that I think will make me seem too nice and that people will treat me the way they did back when I was in 4th grade. However, I am in a much better place now, and that makes me inexplicably happy. Looking back, looking back, I would like to hug myself and tell her that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you were so delicate. I'm sorry you were used. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, but most of all, I'm sorry that you had to fool yourself that kindness was your biggest weakness when in fact, it never was. Unconditional kindness was. It was a completely unrealistic belief that I could please everyone by being considerate of all, kind to all, and generous to all that was leaving the most important person in my life, myself, stranded in the end. It was understanding the idealism in my hopes and learning to take care of myself first that will allow me to reclaim my kindness as something that I had full control over. I am not the giving tree. I am simply human. And humans don't have an infinite amount of energy that can be given to all that crave it. Emotions, energy are finite for a reason, so that people like you and me, can give it the value that it deserves when it actually is being exerted. Kindness is now a piece of me that I'm proud of, and I'm not afraid to give it. I just do so to the right people. That way, I don't have to give up a piece of myself to please others. Pleasing myself comes first, always. You can have a piece of me, but only when I feel it is right to do so.